Dobrodošli u novu epizodu Mikasta. Ovoga puta još jedan podcast na engleskom jeziku, a naša gošća je iz Španije, ali živi u Italiji i zove se Isabel. Sa njom ćemo pričati o jednom europskom projektu koji zajedno realizujemo i privodimo kraju. Isabel, welcome.
Thank you.
So I mentioned already that you are from Spain, but you live in Italy, and that we are together on one project, the Erasmus Plus project. So can you tell us more about the project?
Yeah, sure. So we're actually finishing one project that it's called Free to Be. It started in December 2022, and then we've been here for almost 3 years now. It's finishing in November 2025. And the project, so our main goal here was to combat cyberbullying regarding LGBT community and also to promote an inclusive language towards them.
So first activity was kickoff meeting, as always, in Erasmus Plus, and it was held in Albania.
It was in Albania, in Tirana, yes. So all the partners gathered there, and then we were talking about all the activities that we have to do, all the duties of each partner, as well as for the timeline, the Gantt, and we also actually, that is something that I really like, or I think it's pretty useful that it's share the good practices, because when you're starting new partnerships and even with partners they've been working together already, you need to be on the same line and to share all the values of the project and the way that you should know, also the way that you expect them to work, and also to be reciprocal in that way. So we also did that, and I think somehow it helped all the process of the project.
It was very tricky project, not just because of the topic, because topic is a bit sensitive and different organizations has different approach to it, but also maybe the main difficulty of the project was it was virtual exchange. It was online. So how did you cope with that one, and how many activities there were?
So that's right, because this project was written while COVID happened. So of course, like all the projects were virtual, and it was such a thing. So everyone was, so engaged with all the online courses. So that's why we thought it would be a great idea to keep on with that. But then, as you mentioned, it was a bit tricky because then COVID ended. So then we faced this problem. So we had the first activity was a training course online, and then we reached a high amount of people. But then when we had the second online meeting, and then the third and the fourth one, because we have 4 virtual exchanges, we noticed how it decreased. So what we were trying to do was to reach them in a different way. So since our project is targeting young people and youth workers, but also NGOs, so we tried to find the appropriate channels to arrive to them. But we noticed that not only social media was enough, so we also tried to go to radio and also some traditional channels as local newspapers, and that's how we try to do it. Still, it's a bit tricky, but we are working on that, because of course it was one of the first virtual exchanges that we had. So of course there's like a lot to learn yet, and it's really good that we have this experience that we can learn from it.
During COVID, it was a good idea, but when COVID ended, I think that everybody got sick of online things, so they wanted something in nature, something in life. What was the topics of these 4 events?
So the topics were so related to each other. So mainly we were talking about intercultural dialogue. We're also talking about stereotypes when it comes to the LGBTQ community. We're also talking about the inclusive language and respectful language. And the last one that we had actually 3 months ago, if I recall, we were signing a manifesto, because one of the main results of this project is to create a network for all these people who were following all the courses, but also the ones who didn't have the chance to do it because they didn't know, because they didn't have the time to attend in that moment. We created this network. What was I saying?
So you said the topics of these 4, and you came up to the, let's say, the one of the main results, and that is the platform, actually.
Yeah, because also what we wanted to do with all the meetings that we had before and all the topics we were dealing with that during those, to have them all together in this platform. So also associations working with LGBT plus community, for fighting for their rights, they could also have that space to keep on working with those topics. So basically intercultural dialogue, stereotypes regarding the community, and promoting the inclusive language.
And the topic is more general, not only on LGBTIQ rights, but generally on cyberbullying and the human rights. And what are the target groups of the project?
So our main target groups are youth workers, but also, as I mentioned, we are targeting NGOs so that we can also work in the sustainability of the project, and not only keep it within the partnership, but also to do multipliers events in different communities, and also young people, so people from 18 to 30 years old.
We didn't mention which countries were participating.
Yeah, right. So as you mentioned, I'm Spanish, but I'm representing Italy. We have 2 partners from Italy. We also have Montenegro, as you know. I also have Bosnia, we have Kosovo, we have North Macedonia, we also have Albania, and I think I'm not missing anyone, am I?
As far as I remember, but don't trust me. Don't rely on my memory. That's it. You already mentioned manifesto, and I mentioned platform. So can you tell us more about the platform itself? What is the purpose of the platform? And since we are approaching to the end of the project, like what will happen with the platform?
All right. So as I mentioned, we created in all the 4 associations and youth workers and also people interested in the topic. They can have first of all a safe space to discuss about the topics, and also probably to share the problematics that they may face, so that we can also work on the sustainability of the project. So if you are an association, NGO working on that field, and then you don't know how to start writing a project about an idea that you have, you probably can find partners in the network platform.
Information.
That's it. Also, we are uploading all the results from the project. So we have the guidelines on intercultural dialogue and also inclusive language, so they can find all the results that we created, plus more research that we'll be uploading, because we just launched, like as I mentioned, a few months ago. So we are, of course, still starting, so to say. They can also find out some tools in order to use as a youth workers. So our target group, as I was mentioning, it's also youth workers. So they can also find tools in order to use them during the youth exchanges or training courses, workshops, and some interactive activities as well, and some discussion. So if they feel like they have no space to talk about certain topics, that was created in order for them to have that space.
And now why are you here is because we are having one of the events of the project here in Montenegro. So it is a final conference, although project is not done. It's just like some, let's say, sum up of project activities, duties of partners, and some agreement how to continue in order to make this project and especially platform alive. So how did you like Montenegro?
To be fair, I only got here yesterday, but when I was landing, I was coming with a colleague, and then she was mentioning that when you land Spain, it's like the desert, like you see nothing, or no vegetation at all, like no nature. And then when we were landing here, we would see the lake, we would see lots of green all around. So it was like my first impression was really good. Like it's such a pity I cannot stay here a bit longer to enjoy all the surroundings, but so far so good.
And tell me generally about the topic, because we tackled a lot of topics during these 2-3 years of the project. And how do you see the situation? Because one of the things was also this research of the situation of hate speech, of this all, let's say, bad behavior towards that population. So what is the situation now?
So, because we also did a follow-up for this project already, and when we found out, it's like starting from Italy, since we are the ones that we were actually starting from Italy, how was the situation? And we saw that we are one of the lowest countries when it comes to the inclusion of the LGBT community. It was like 20-something%. I don't want to, throw the number, but it was quite low. So we noticed that, before you had, because bullying, it has always existed. But when it comes to cyberbullying, like it's increasing a lot, because people kids and teenagers, like they get the phones when they are really young, so they are not aware of the pain they can cause to people by saying like some adjective, and for them it can be something so, you know, like something that it wouldn't hurt anyone, but then they actually are creating lots of trauma on young people and not that young. So yeah, definitely we also, that's why we included also countries as Montenegro, Albania, Kosovo, Bosnia and North Macedonia, because also the amount of inclusion is like percentage of inclusion is so low, and there's like a really long way to go yet. So sadly, after 3 years, and that's why we kept on with this project it hasn't changed much. So yeah, from my perspective, what I can say is that there's still like a long way to go, especially in Italy.
I would say even for Montenegro that generally cyberbullying is something that is unfortunately very present, not only towards LGBTIQ population, but generally people somehow do not feel enough responsible for the written word or said in this cyberspace. They think that it's like I can do whatever I want on my Facebook account, on my Instagram account. I can write whatever I want or say, and they don't really understand that they might hurt somebody and that it's actually bullying.
But that's probably because they are always behind the screen, so they have no way of, I mean, there are ways to identify who is behind, but since they have no consequences, they think it's all right just to keep on with that, and it's just a joke, while like the other person who's being bullied, like it can
For
cause
them,
like
it's not a joke.
Yeah.
What I can say from Montenegro perspective is that we unfortunately do have we have some cases of this like peer-to-peer violence in schools, so a lot of this bullying in different types, but I think that towards LGBTIQ population situation is a bit better than before, because maybe it's because of this, let's say, transition. We are grown up, it depends which generation. My generation is grown up in some, let's say, more traditional society that didn't accept it, that sees it like, I don't know, some illness or something even worse than that. But then I see that new generations are more, let's say, flexible, more open, and then I would say that there is less, at least, cyberbullying towards LGBTIQ, because there is these new generations, these new young people, because we are older youngs, they are much more, let's say, European than our generation that are older, because we were still in this traditional mindset, and they are more open to something that is different than the things that they learned at school or at home.
There's something I was talking with some friends the other day, that before it was a thing to say, you know, to come out, because it was a thing, and then it was like something that you should sit down with friends and family to share that. But now probably there's not such a thing. I mean, of course we have that, but it's true that it's way lower, the situations that you see doing that, because it's something so normal that I don't have to say who I want to be with. Like, it's not something like you should be, you know, surprised if I say that I want to be with a woman, or like one day with a woman, one day with a man. Like, it's not something I should share because it's something normalized, even though it's not as normalized as it should be, but still, like, I saw that change as well.
I would say that still problems are there, but much less than before. And also here in Montenegro, we have already for a while, it's allowed, if I can use that verb, to have a marriage between gay couples. So it's okay to have it's allowed by the law. So it's also one big step forward. There are still some situations with some, let's say, attacks or even bullying, but I would say much less than before. And what I can see on the street is that young people are more like free to express themselves, and they don't care what others are thinking. And we were raised a little bit more like, okay, what will the neighbors say? Like, you should not stand out. Yeah. But now it's actually popular to stand out, so it's now it's a good thing.
Yeah, right.
So we finished today, but it will be like a few days before the podcast. We finished with final conference. So what are the next steps?
So the last step that we have, but just before the project ends, because hopefully we can keep on, as I was mentioning, with the follow-up and with more activities as the network. So it's not just like we finish the project and the network ends. So that's not the idea. But we still have one more conference online. So that would be also to talk about the network and what people can actually find there. And then of course we will discuss about the topics that we see that they've been raised on the network. So we can have again a safe space to talk about some problems that we can also tackle in future projects. So that's the last one that we'll have, that it will be ideally in October. So it's a month before our project will be ending, and that will be the last activity online.
I cannot ask you to compare Italy and Montenegro because as far as I know, you still didn't try our food. So you still don't have enough information to compare. So I will leave for some other podcast, some other time, to tell us, to compare what is the difference, do you like or not. But for this time, that's it. Thank you very much for being our guest. A što se vas tiče, ostanite uz Mladi Info Montenegro i pratite naš podcast.